Hi, everyone. Welcome. Bienvenidos. Bienvenidos. Did I say that right, Luisa? Welcome to the kickoff event for the first ever Latin American Regional Social Venture Challenge. My name is Adriana Barillas-Batarse, and I am a guide and mentor to Resolution Fellows, as well as a co-chair on the Resolution Leadership Council. The Resolution Project is a nonprofit based in New York City that supports young social entrepreneurs who are looking to launch a social venture. The Resolution Fellowship comes with seed funding, mentorship, access to pro bono resources, and membership in a global community of experts in the social impact sector. Resolution provides an entire ecosystem designed to support young people who are driving positive impact around the world. This week, we are running a social venture challenge in partnership with the Latin American Leadership Academy and Superate, providing the opportunity for undergraduate students across Latin America to pitch for Resolution Fellowships. You can watch the final pitches on Saturday starting at 10:30 Eastern on Resolution's Facebook page, and you will also be able to congratulate the SVC winners on Wednesday, March 10th at 12 p.m. Eastern, also on Facebook. Today's event will be a 30-minute panel about starting and scaling a social venture. Our panelists are all accomplished social entrepreneurs from Latin America. This will be followed by a 30-minute networking session. There will be an opportunity to ask questions at the end of the panel, so please use the Q&A function on the right-hand side of your screen if you have any questions. So to start, I'd like to introduce our great panelists. First up, I guess let's start with Luisa. Luisa Villanova. In 2017, Luisa Villanova created Gotinhas, a social project that works with social emotional skills in public schools. As CEO and founder, she led the organization to impact 8,000 children in more than 15 states and 6 other countries. Luisa was also appointed as an ambassador for the Yale Young Global Scholars, developing a project on refugee access to the health system. Currently, she is a U.S. state leader of Movimiento Acredito, working to understand how exceptional public policies are built. Luisa is also currently enrolled at Columbia University in New York City. Next, we can go to Carla Ramírez. Carla Ramírez Hernández has a bachelor's degree in communication sciences from University Dr. José Matías Delgado and an MBA from the University of Chile. She was part of the first generation of the Escuela de Jóvenes Talento en Letras, a program of the Ministry of Education of El Salvador, and in 2009, she graduated from the Superate y La Sal program. Carla Ramírez has worked as a coordinator of the communications academies at Universidad Dr. José Matías and as a consultant in strategic communications for different international organizations and institutions. She is currently the head of broadcasting and content management at Altamirano Media. Our other Carla, Carla Abrego, is one of the founders and current president of Tools for Youth, El Salvador, a social program that supports the development of digital skills in young people from poor and vulnerable households in El Salvador and Central America. She graduated with a degree in economics and business from Escuela Superior de Economía y Negocios and is a recipient of a Fulbright scholarship starting this year to pursue a master's degree in economics in the United States. She is currently a consultant for the education division in the Inter-American Development Bank. Natalia Salas, our other panelist, is having some technical issues, but I'll go ahead and introduce her while we wait for her to try to get back in. Nati is the CEO and founder of Trifecta Content Studio and the VP and co-founder of Going Master. She is also a Resolution Fellow since 2003. Her social venture, Connecting Children, aims to provide quality education to children in rural areas of Costa Rica. Today, Nati is also a Resolution Guide and a member of the inaugural cohort of the Resolution Fellow Council. Natalia has a bachelor's in political science from the University of Costa Rica and another one in advertising and public relationships from the University of Navarra in Spain. So without further ado, let's start talking about social entrepreneurship. And we still don't have Nati, but we will give it a couple of minutes and I will just start the first question while we wait for her. And what I wanted to ask our panelists is, when did you first become interested in social entrepreneurship and why? And I guess we could start with you, Luisa.
Yeah, sure. It's a pleasure being here today. I'm super excited to talk with you all. And for me, my start with social entrepreneurship starts when I was super young and didn't understand exactly what was happening around me. But then one experience that happened with me, like inside the school, made me start thinking about like what was my role in these communities and what should I do to make kind of the world a better place. As all chill like kid that wants to like change the world and everything. However, I suffered bullying when I was younger, so it was extremely hard for me to understand like how should I react to that and what should I do and how should I communicate my feelings and everything. And seeing that like challenge for me, I had an incredible support system to help me deal with that. However, I started seeing how other kids do not have the same access to like this social networks that really like are there to make you feel better and like find professional help to deal with everything that is happening around you. And for me, after that, I started thinking like, oh my God, I should really do something to help those kids that are in the same situation that I went through. But I know how hard it is a lot of times and how that can impact like everything in your life. So for me, it was really like a time of starting to understand what was my role in enacting that type of change and how should I really start doing something. So it was like in that moment, I was like, okay, I really need to do something. But then I was like, what should I be doing? How should I be doing? What is the first step and everything? So it was like hard for me to also like start understanding what is social entrepreneurship to later on like, oh yeah, that's what I like and that's what I want to work with for my life. But in the first moment was basically like I saw a problem that happened that impacted me personally, and then I started to like understand how I really wanted to work on that, and then start to understand like, oh, that is this field of like social entrepreneurship that you can work with and that you can like really develop amazing ventures to like solve problems, and that and then I started like really starting to research and understand like what are the tools that I could use and who should I talk to, and like could I really take my idea out of the paper and like put into practice. So I feel like it was basically having this like personal experience, then understanding that like it was something that was happening with a lot of people around me, and then like trying to see how I could solve that problem.
That's great. Carla Ramírez, did this come to you also because of a personal experience, or do you have another story to tell us? And your show.
Sorry. I feel very happy right now because I feel very enthusiastic hearing Luisa, because I also have the same experience, but also I live in El Salvador. And when you're in El Salvador, most of the time you think that there is a lot of needs, there is a lot of people who need help. But I see those needs as an opportunity that you can make good projects. When I start thinking, okay, what should I do? There is many problems in my country. I need to in charge of about it, and I need to do something about them. I start thinking that the best way that I can help my country is to giving back everything that I receive. When I start my studies, most of them I got them from a scholarship, and I think that there is people who trust on me, and I can also pay them as a way that to giving back all the things that I received from them, trying to work for other people. My study, for example, for me, they changed completely my life. And I think that if you had a good idea and you can develop a good idea, you can make more opportunity for other young people, especially for young people in our countries. I try in all these years that I had been working, so I got my first job. I just try to go to work for young people. I think that young people is the key for trying to complete for trying to help others. Also, we are very happy. We are all the time trying to do everything better. We are a very positive generation, and we can use those things, very good things, to help others. For example, normally when we think about entrepreneurship, we always say that the profits or the benefits are just for the people who work in the idea and develop the idea. But I think that if you start thinking that you can share also all those profits, and I don't mean only financial profits. When I say profits, is also the benefit that you can share with social, with a social thinking. We also include all these people who is more vulnerable or who are more exposed to problems in our countries. So it's very interesting when you are really you are really in care of where you are, what is your environment saying, and when you understand why is happening in your country, and you encourage that, and you are in charge, and you are trying to do something in your country. Especially in countries like us in Latin America, we had many problems during the quarantine. We saw them, and we were more exposed to them. So we are more now. I think that we are more interested also to do something and make a change. There are some topics that are very important for our generation. For example, like the environment, the equality, the human rights. So we can start thinking as a community, as a society, to make our country and also our all the entire world a better place for living, and not only for the future generation, also for us in this right moment. Yeah.
Thank you, Carla. That's great to hear. Carla Abrego, how was your experience? You're also in El Salvador, so was your experience similar to what Carla's was?
Yes, it is. It is so like curious, and also kind of, I mean, nice to hear from Luisa's and Carla's experiences, and mine is very similar to them. Well, in my case, I also, since an early age, I really wanted to start working for improving people's lives. But honestly, I just didn't have like a plan or anything clear. So what I did is that part of my decision of studying economics and business was because I wanted to have more knowledge and tools to achieve this goal. So at first, I thought that I would like work with homeless people, which is something that I have not had the opportunity to do, but it is still one of my goals. And also, since I come from a family with low economic resources, like Carla's experience, all my academic goals I was able to achieve thanks to different opportunities and scholarships that I had. So when I finished college, I was able to realize how much these opportunities had changed my life. So with this in mind, and along with other friends that had the same experience and the same desire, we identified what key skills had helped us get more opportunities, like scholarships or job opportunities. So that is when we decided to share our knowledge in digital skills, specifically in the use of Microsoft Excel, which is something that might seem like very basic, but in El Salvador, we really are left behind. The young people are behind. They are not learning this type of tools, so it is very important. And also our knowledge in soft skills through leadership and teamwork and all that. And that is how, when we started to work at public schools, I come from a public school, so we started to working with high school students from cities in conditions of poverty. That was in 2018, and then since then our work has not stopped. And really, I am so happy that I am able to work for young people, and also to be here sharing and hearing from your experiences. And it is really nice to hear from other women that share like the same feeling and the same passion.
Thank you, Karla. Nati, what about you?
Well, for me, it was sort of like Karla, well, both Karlas and Luisa were saying, but in my case, I was not in the direct impact per se. It was more like my parents grew up on a humble environment, but they worked really, really hard in farms. And so to put me into private education. And once there, I realized the importance of good quality education to stop the poverty cycle. And my goal with connecting children the whole time was providing that quality education to rural areas in Costa Rica. And I guess the same applies, for example, to Karla. Sadly, here in Latin America, we have that big difference between private education or even public when it's in the city, and then you compare it with the rural areas, and the difference is it's huge, right? So I work to tackle that, and it has been so fulfilling for me and even my family to see them and how it impacts the town, the people, the families. So it has been something that I guess it started in 2012, the first time that I saw a social venture challenge in Warmont in Vancouver, and it continued almost 10 years later to be really a big part of my life.
That's great, Nati. Thank you. Nati, as a mentee and now a mentor, what are your thoughts on mentorship?
Oh, it's probably one of the most important things about social ventures in general, social businesses. We cannot do this alone. We do not have all the knowledge in the world to know, because it involves so many areas. It involves problems with law. You need to know a little bit about law. You need to know a little bit about economics. I study communications, so obviously I do not have knowledge in specific areas that go hand in hand with creating a company or a business that impacts socially so much. Therefore, my main goal back then was finding guidance, and I guess Resolution Project provided all that guidance. But now that I'm also a guide for Resolution Project and I get to help, for example, Jorge in Panama, it does show the value that it's on just being there for someone else. Again, we do not have all the knowledge, but creating all those connections, working with other people, finding all the guidance, it's vital to not only to start a social venture, but also to scale it, because it never stops. You never stop getting problems and having to get new people, new ideas, and new advice.
Great. Luisa, besides mentorship, what other resources can people use to get started?
That's a great question, and it was something that I really struggled with when I was starting. But I feel like mentorship and social connections is such a key point that I really want to reassure that for me, it was really important being able to like do networking and really like trying to understand who around me was able to like help me and support my idea and everything. So I really want to like first reassure the importance of like mentorship and finding mentors all along the way. Today I have like the amazing opportunity to be part of LALA, that is a Latin American Leadership Academy, that is a partner of this event, and I feel that it's so important to be able to like find institutions such as the Resolution Project and like really engage with them. And try to understand what we can do for our communities with that guidance. So I feel like that's the first step, and it's really, really important. I really want to reassure. And aside from that, I feel that something that comes with social entrepreneurship is like self-knowledge. And that is something that you really need to build on to understand what do you want to like do, but also for who you are working to and with. And how you can create like this project that are like community centered in a way. And for that, you really need to know yourself, and then like being able to like communicate with the communities and create those type of projects with them, because in the end, you're serving them, right? So I feel like being able to like talk with yourself and with the communities is something extremely important to understand their needs, and also what they are like willing to have and what is like necessary for them, instead of like trying to bring something top down, and try like kind of to impose something that might work for them or might not work for them, because a lot of times you're like, oh yeah, this is going to work, and then like you have an idea on your mind, but then when you actually like bring that to the community, they're like, I don't need that, like that's not necessary for me, like I need this or that, like I don't want your project. So I feel like being able to build those connections is also extremely important, like as a first step. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of like talking to people, both mentors and like the community itself, because you're going to be working with them, right? So yeah.
Thank you. Carla Ramírez, so on top of mentorship and talking to the community, like Luisa just mentioned, what do you think are the other first steps to take in starting a social venture? You're muted, Carla. Sorry.
Yeah, now, I think that there are two key things that we have to keep on mind also all the time when we are starting. First is the idea. The idea is the key or everything. It's like you have to develop a good idea. Now we hear everybody saying if you need a good idea, you have to complete this, you need a good product, you need a good team, you need a good financial support. It's like you will have everything of that if you really had a good idea. If you had a good idea, you will have a very happy team working, that you will work every day, every moment, and will give the best for that idea. If you had a good idea, you will have the financial support, you will have people who want to invest in your idea, you will have people who is interested also to pay for being in your company or join your company, and you also will have people who will buy your product, or who will buy your project, or will buy your service. But the thing is that you only not have to think about as just the idea. You have to think in a sustainable idea. Now we see a lot of people who has, it's like, I had this idea and they start working on them, and some months later then they don't continue. When you ask them what happening, oh, maybe I developed a product just thinking in a trending or in a topic, but I didn't make it sustainable. And I think that when you have a sustainable idea, you will keep all these things that you good things that you keep with your idea. You will keep them in a very long time. I think that those are the thing. It's like to have an idea, but make it sustainable. Make it sustainable, not just for making it longer, make it also sustainable for helping others that also believe in your idea, and they want to continue also with your project. For example, it's important that when we think how we can make our idea survive, we think that also that to consider others' opinion and consider what the people are saying about what we are doing. It's like normally when we start thinking an idea, it's like I want to keep it, and or for example, we had a prototype, and it's like I want to put it right now in the market, because if I don't do it, someone will rob my idea, and I want to put it there. It's like if we had an idea, we have to develop and take the time to do it as long as we can do it very good. But also, if we do very good things, we can be sure that all the process that we follow in during the development process will help us to make sustainable idea. I think those are the key things when we start the idea and a sustainable idea.
Thank you, Carla. Carla Abrego, do you think it's a good time to start a social entrepreneurship venture in Latin America right now?
Of course. Now more than ever is when we need social projects that really work for the most pressing problems in our countries. Especially we as young people, we need to get more involved. If you, for example, you don't want to start or you are not sure about starting a social project right now, you can always look for ways to join in other initiatives and in so many different areas, because you can just look around yourself and identify so many problems in a region. So anything for smaller than it might seem, it starts a positive change. So it is definitely a really good time to start getting involved and to start social projects, taking into consideration all the advices that Luisa and Carla had mentioned. And I think that only by joining together, we will be able to really build a more equitable region with more opportunities for all.
Thank you, Carla. I think we might have time for one question from the audience, and whoever wants to take it. If you could go back in time, what's one piece of advice you would give yourself as you began your social venture?
I think I can start. Definitely do not start alone. I feel like that was something that I in the past did. And being like the founder, like alone and not having like co-founders is something that I feel like made things a little bit harder than it should be for me, especially because I didn't have like a different perspective to certain problems and I didn't know like exactly how to deal with certain problems, and having someone maybe like from a different path or like from a different background that could definitely help me. So like I really think that is super important to think about like teamwork, and in the same way maybe like co-founding something with someone. That would be like a piece of advice that I would give myself. Like think about having a co-founder. That's definitely something that I think that it's super important.
Great.
I think for me will be, and this goes, I hope, to everybody that's seeing this, don't be afraid just because you're young. I think we got used to thinking that businesses or anything belongs to really old adults or something like that. And no, don't. If I could go back in time and tell myself, don't be afraid just because you're 23 years old, it would have been great. I was so afraid to reaching out to big companies or to ask for to help even in fundraising. And nowadays I realize age is just a number, like we usually say.
Well, if I can say something, it's very similar to what Natalia said. Don't be afraid to start. If you already have an idea, start working on making it real. You don't have to rush, but you can start like little by little. Take your time, but don't wait. Don't think that just because you're young, just because you don't have the resources, you cannot start doing something. In fact, when we started our project, we didn't have any resources, but only our passion, our commitment, and our desire. And little by little, we, as we have talked today, investors and more people were there to help us, to guide us. So don't be afraid to start.
Yeah, I think that I will say it's almost the same like Carla. It's like if you don't have money right now, you don't need it. It's like you will make it in by step by step. It's like we normally think that we need money for starting. If we don't have it, we cannot do it. It's like the money will come and it needs one of the process and the thing that you have to book in your calendar and like I had the idea, but what I will do for reaching money and had a fundraising or something. and there is always people who is interested in helping. And I think that one of the things that we really need to remind all the time is that there are a lot of people and many opportunities outside that are looking also for people like us who has good ideas and they want to help. So don't think that if you don't have money, you cannot start. Just go look outside, look for one of those people. There is many people who is also interested to help other young people who has really good idea, who has the energy to put everything and give the best for projects. So it's not a problem. There is many opportunity that we can look outside. So just go and look for them.
Thank you. I want to thank all our panelists for all this amazing advice. Thank you for talking about mentorship and involving the community and how important it is to have a sustainable idea. And I loved that we ended that it seemed like everybody's first piece of advice was just start. If you have an idea, just start. I think that's great. And thank you for everyone for listening. At this point, we'll to move over to the networking portion of the evening. On the left-hand side of your screen, you will see the sessions and networking tabs. The networking in small groups happens in the sessions tab, and the networking one-on-one is in the networking tab. There will be 4 rooms for you to pick from the different themes to help guide your discussions. You have the flexibility to move between the various sessions and networking as you want during the about 30 minutes we have. Thank you again for joining us. Many thanks to our panelists today and to our partners at the Latin American Leadership Academy and Superate. See you guys at the networking